So today, what we're going to talk about is emotional detox. I have my notes here. So if you see my eyes diverted, that is what is happening. Emotional detox. I'm going to go through a little bit about our emotions and what that entails and how our emotions work for us. And then I'm going to let you know the signs that you may need an emotional detox, the benefits of detoxing, and then how you can detox emotionally. And I highly recommend that each of you try this at least once in your life. I think doing an emotional detox 4 times a year would be great. It doesn't take a lot. It just takes a level of awareness. And that is our pillar one of our love intelligence method. Pillar one is self-awareness. But one of the things that doing an emotional detox also does is it'll connect you to empathy. And empathy is another pillar in our love intelligence method. All right. So emotions. Can you believe, and I'm not a psychologist, so these stats, I got beef with them, but I'm just going to say, they say that the average adult feels emotions 2 to 3 times a day, maybe 3 to 4 times a day, actually. Let me see. Yeah, they say 3 to 4 times a day. I beg to differ. I think that we feel emotions multiple times throughout the day, especially depending on what you are doing and what's going on in your world. Let me identify what an emotional detox is. It is identifying negative emotions and excavating them. So that can sometimes be a very painful experience. And if that experience is too painful, I highly recommend getting professional help. I recommend a therapist to help you with this process. So many times what we've done is we've brushed over the things, the emotions, the trauma, and we've just kind of stuffed them. And then what happens is it starts to become toxic in our lives. So an emotional detox is a way to purge those toxic feelings. I think that it's so important for us to even have an identify what those feelings are that we have. In psychology, emotion is often defined as a complex state of feeling that results in physical and psychological changes that influences thoughts and behaviors. They say your thoughts lead to your actions lead to your life. But your thoughts usually are coming from your emotions. So that's where that comes from. Emotionally, it's associated with a range of psychological phenomena, including temperament, personality, mood, and motivation. I grabbed that from the psychology website. So they say that there's 12 basic emotions, but I'm also going to show you the emotion wheel, which we have in the Academy under supporting docs. I still think that that's limiting, but it's adoration, amusement, anger, awe, confusion, contempt, desire, disappointment, distress, fear, interest, and sadness. But I want to show you this emotion wheel. I love this emotion wheel. This is something that I have used and I've shared with y'all, and I work with in private coaching a lot. This emotion wheel, look at all of these emotions here. There are a lot of emotions. There's a lot more than 12 emotions. If we want to get down to the basics, most psychologists are saying that there's those basic 8, which branch out to all of them. The basic 8 I think it is 8 or 7. Surprise, feeling bad, feeling fearful, feeling angry, feeling disgusted, feeling sad, feeling happy. Just know that we are a plethora of emotion. We have an amazing gift to be able to feel and be able to share and express. And our emotions are a gift. Sometimes they may not feel like a gift when we have gotten to a place of overwhelm, when we've gotten to a place of not having control of them, when we've gotten to a place where our toxic emotions have come to the forefront because we have continued to stuff our experiences. We're busy women. Sometimes we'll be like, I don't have time for that. The thing that I want to encourage you to do is you might not have time for it in the moment, but let's honor that amazing gift you have of planning, and you put it on your list. You put it in your calendar so that you can deal with it. It's not a matter of ignoring it. It's a matter of dealing with it when it makes sense to you. If you have that control, I encourage you to use it. You get stuff done in that way. But if you don't, you deal with it right then and there. Okay, so I'll never forget when I was discovering what emotions were and what emotions meant to me and my own emotions. I hadn't even really processed it. I just know that I was constantly feeling like I was all over the place. I felt like something else was controlling how I was going through my day. That's definitely a symptom of survival mode as well. But something else was just controlling how I was navigating my day, how I was viewing things, how I was seeing things. So doing an emotional detox is going to give you back that control to where you are controlling how you're seeing and viewing and navigating the day with your emotions. Now, constantly being in a heightened state of emotion, which I was back in the day, I believe it was around 2003 after my second divorce. I'm a single mom living in a 1-bedroom apartment that I'm sharing with my kid. I gave my kid the room. I'm sleeping on the couch. I'm trying to make ends meet. I'm going to different extra work jobs. I'm working as a temporary assistant with people. And I was constantly in a heightened state of emotion. I was upset about something someone said. I was judging how someone was doing something. I was just constantly in a state of feeling all day long, feeling. And not the general underlying feeling, but I mean the negative type of feeling. And that is tiring. Your body, that pumps cortisol through your system. It's not good for your health. Cortisol is the number one killer, which is stress. So these are some reasons why you might, if you ever find that you're in a heightened sense of emotions, you may be in that state because of stress. How are you managing stress? You may be in that state because of diet choices. You may be in that state because of lack of sleep. These are some things that might cause you to constantly be on 100% of your emotions, on all day long. So here are some signs that I know for a fact that I had in my life. I wasn't sleeping. I was having night terrors. And occasionally that pops up now. And I go, okay, that's a sign. I'm a little stressed. I was having night terrors. I was always tired. I'll never forget that I ended up, my kid needed to go to a field trip. And Jordan didn't tell me about the field trip until like the night before, but they needed to take $20 with them to this field trip. And I literally, like, I had to go to the bathroom and I burst out in tears. One, because I was just like, where am I going to get this $20 from? My bank account was looking really slim. I was like, I'm going to be juggling. You know, and it was in that moment that I knew that something had to change, not just with my finances, but because I was so on edge. I was on edge where the slightest thing that wasn't going to go my way was going to send me into a plethora of tears. I mean, there's nothing wrong with crying. I'm all for the crying. I think that it is healthy. I think we should all do it. But one of the things that I do know for a fact is that when we are on edge, if you see this in the news now with a lot of the crime, when we are at that edge, anything can happen. Rash decisions. You're ready to cut people off. You're ready to yell out the window. You're ready to cuss your kids out. You're ready to cuss your spouse out. You really want to wring someone's neck. That's when the emotions have taken control. That's when they have gotten out of whack. Now, doing an emotional detox is not just detoxing from those emotions that are happening immediately now, but it's also uncovering the emotions that have happened in the past that you may have stuffed. You may be navigating life where you have stuffed these emotions and you're feeling overwhelmed, but they show up. And I read a lot of Louise Hay books, and Louise Hay has a book where she talks about the emotions that have been suppressed and how they show up in the body. And I want to just talk a little bit about them. There is a list. She has a list of, I want to say like 100 different things. I'm going to not go through that whole list, but I'll go through some areas where you have stuffed emotions in your body. Now, So if you're having lower back challenges, anger or frustration is somewhere where a lot of we will store. And this is a concept. I found it to be true. Some people I talk to, I find it to be true, but you can take this on and research it and study it for yourself. But I really want you to think about this. Stomach and intestines is fear. Fear. Heart and chest is hurt. Your headache. A headache may be a loss of control. Neck and shoulder tension could be burdens and responsibilities. Fatigue, resentments, numbness, trauma, breathing difficulties, anxiety. Now, when she has a list of like adrenal problems, alcoholism, your arteries, arthritis, back issues, your balance, blood pressure, body odor, brain, your breath, bruises. They're in alphabetical order, like cystic fibrosis, coughs. It's what diabetes is, a longing for what might have been a great need to control, deep sorrow, no sweetness left. These are some things that we want to consider as we go through our detox, because we want to address them. And so if you have any type of stuff that's happening in your body, or stuff that you want to just investigate, these things. And that's going to help you when you get ready to do this detox, which I highly am going to recommend that you do this detox. So the benefits of doing a detox is that you're going to be able to, one, breathe. And I don't mean just breathe with the air in your lungs. I mean, breathe. You'll be able to breathe more in life. Navigating the world, navigating your day-to-day is going to be a lot easier when you have this emotional detox, because you aren't going to be being led by these emotions, by things that have happened in your world. You're not going to be led down that road. You're going to have more control over your life. You're going to have more control over your emotions. And then I think doing an emotional detox is a reboot for you to be able to control your emotions. And oftentimes we just don't have that, take the time, and we don't necessarily find ways to just check in. Now, there are the basic check-ins where you might be journaling, you might be doing certain things that can help you out on a daily, like you might be doing your self-care. But I think digging into these types of emotions are going to go such a long way. So let's talk about, how do you detox emotionally? I'll give you the list, and then I'm going to give you a breakdown of where to start and how to do it. You want to check in. That's the very beginning of your emotional detox, is check in by journaling, check in by identifying, using that list, Louise Hay list, looking into areas where your body might be having some challenges, where you might be having some challenges, but checking in that baseline. It's kind of like when you start a new workout program and your trainer wants you to weigh yourself and check your measurements. That's what this is going to be, where you are checking in. You're going to journal, you're going to check your measurements, you're going to identify the emotions that you feel you're having stronger on a day-to-day, the emotions just intuitively, by asking the question, what emotions am I carrying with me? Resentment came up for me. That's huge. So you want to write that down. You want to ask those questions of yourself so that you can excavate them. All right, so check in, journal, identify. The next step is to make the decision, because we think, oh, emotional detox or all this emotional stuff, we don't often think that it's this tangible way that we should approach things. But it is a tangible, actionable way to approach things. So you want to make the decision. You make the decision, how long? One, I'm going to emotionally detox. That's the first decision. I'm about to have an emotional detox, because you got to prep the brain for what you're doing. The next is you want to give a start and finish time to this detox. You could say, I'm an emotional detox today. You can say that today, and you can put all these other next steps into the one day. I highly recommend you emotional detox. 7 to 10 days emotional detox is going to give you so much more relief. So give yourself a start and finish time for this detox. You can do it as often as you like. I say 7 to 10 days, twice a year, 3 times a year. All right. So part of the emotional detox is no complaining. No complaining. No complaining to anyone. No complaining to yourself. No complaining under your breath. No complaining. The next is no judging. You got to judge less. There is a book that I read. I believe can't remember who it was. It's not the 4 Agreements. It's either 4 Agreements or 7 Spiritual Laws. And it talks about taking the path of least resistance and also not judging. Maybe I'm combining both of the books, but not judging, because what judging does is it keeps your mind like you're not even present. You're still on the thing that you saw in the past, and it keeps your mind like always processing, looking, judging. And that is tiring, honey. That is tiring. So no complaining, no judging. Also, during the emotional detox, take nothing personal. Nothing. Someone snaps at you, someone says something a certain way, doesn't mean you don't set boundaries, but you don't take it personally. Taking things personally really gets you up in your feelings. I'm going to tell you that. Another step to emotional detox is you want to cleanse your space. You want to cleanse your space and declutter. If that means finding a box and putting all that stuff in a box, so be it. Put it all in a box. But you want to declutter. We have emotions that are stored in our things. That's why when we go to hotels, we love going to hotels. The hotels have nothing. One, the countertops are clean, and there is none of your personal items in there. So you don't have any emotional connections to any objects. We want to declutter as much as possible. And like I said, if you ain't going to take a whole bunch of time to throw things away, the quick way to do this on an emotional detox is put all that stuff on your countertop in a box. And then when you're done with your detox, you come back to it and decide what you want to keep and what you want to get away. And I guarantee when you do the emotional detox, you're going to have less things that you want to keep. All right. So here's an outline of how to do that. Day 1 through 3, be an observer. That's the days you want to do your journaling. That's the days where you want to identify what emotions am I feeling. You want to carry like a little book, a little notebook with you. I have this one little notebook. I don't know, where is it at? Oh, I think it's in my purse. This one little notebook I carry with me, a little tiny one, and I'll just jot things down in there. Jot down gratitude, jot down how I'm feeling after I eat a certain food. So day 1 through 3, be an observer of your emotions and see what you're feeling. You want to carry that journal with you, jot down those emotions. If you have any type of idea that comes with this, you want to use it, okay? I mean, you want to write it down. You want to use it. You want to map out a plan to get extra sleep, to make sure you increase your water intake, and to plan for more living foods. Doesn't mean that you got to change your whole entire eating habit. I just want you to make sure you're eating living foods that are going to give your brain life, okay? Give your brain some extra oxygen. Take time to declutter your space. This is on days 1 through 3, desktop, floors, refrigerator, your car. Just put it all in a box if you're not going to take a lot of extra time to full-blown clear it out. So on days 4 through 7 are add-ons where you want to add one particular thing to the process. Now, because you know that there's no complaining, no judgment, and not taking things personal, you can start implementing that on days 1 through 3. But I really want days 1 through 3, the intention of days 1 through 3 to be you observing and identifying the emotions you want to detox. Day 4 is when you add the no complaining. I would recommend you add no complaining day 1 through 3, but let's just keep it real, okay? No complaining on day 4. Every time you want to complain, I want you to say everything is as it should be. That's freeing. Everything is as it should be. Day 5, no judgment. You want to see the world just for what it is. Everything is as it should be. No judgment. Day 6, you want to add, you are not taking anything personal. You can add these in layers. I'm not taking anything personal. Nothing is personal. And day 7 is that you want to make sure that you are repeating these add-ons, meaning going deeper to the no complaining, going deeper day 8 to no judgment, going deeper day 9 to not taking anything personal. Just making that your intention for the day and putting that on a loop. By the time you hit day 7, you're doing all 3, no complaining, no judgment, not taking anything personal. You're writing in your journal. And on day 10, it's time for you to release, time for you to forgive yourself, time for you to ask the questions of, what am I going to leave here now? What emotions am I dropping from my body? What am I forgiving myself for carrying that with me so long? That's what you do on day 10. That's going to walk you through a very general emotional detox. And on all of these days, you want to have a 10-minute meditation to clear your mind. You want to get back to 0, back to 1. This is going to help you in clearing your body, your mind of all these emotions that are constantly controlling you throughout the day. I know that this is going to be helpful. I want to know if you guys are going to do this emotional detox. Let me know if you want us to do a collective emotional detox within the group. I think it would be a beautiful thing to do within our community. I would love to know your opinion about that. Go out and make it an amazing rest of your week. And that's how you emotionally detox. And you are going to thank me later. I promise you that. All right. Bye.